Hi, I'm Kelly Kearney with Constellation Magazine, and with me today are two stars of Tribeca's comedy short, This Really Happened, Abubakar Ali and Ryan Haddad. Welcome. Congrats on the festival, guys, because I love this film. I thought it was great. It was very funny. What was your reaction to getting included in this festival? Because I think it's like maybe the biggest one of the year. Everyone wants to be a part of it.
Ryan, you have words coming out of your
No, I
face.
was
You
like,
speak
I don't
first.
know.
We'll start with Ryan. Start with Ryan, and then we'll go down the line.
I I grew up going to a film festival in Cleveland, on a smaller scale, the Cleveland International Film Festival, but I was just such a you know, geek about those things, and I went every year with my aunt and my mom, and so the idea of getting to one of the biggest festivals in New York, let alone in the country or the world, was just a thrill. And I always had a great affection for sort of the shorts programs, or in this case, where this really happened, it's like the episodic series, but
Yeah.
shorter form things that you would never be able to really see in a feature cinema. So it's just really nice, and to know that like it was made by one of my best friends is a pretty cool thing.
So what about you, Abukar? What was the reaction when you heard about it? Were you really excited?
I mean, I'm similar to Brian. I would say I was really happy and proud of Olivia and Callan and Emily, and just like excited for their work to kind of have a bigger reach and a bigger audience, because I felt like it really deserved that. And then also, I mean, I had this cookie in Tribeca about a year ago. This is crazy. I had a cookie in Tribeca a year ago. Can't remember where I got it. It was a pizza flavored cookie. So anything that brings me back to Tribeca,
Just
I'm
reminds you of
there.
that.
I'm there. So
I thought
there
you
was the
meant a
personal,
cookie. Oh my god! I
there
thought
was
you
the
meant a
personal
cookie
reason to
in the
go.
film festival.
What's up?
I thought you meant a cookie in the film festival, like you were in a movie called Cookie or
No,
something.
no. I looked, but no, that cookie was not at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Well, Ryan, how did you become involved in this project? Because I felt like there was a good camaraderie between your character LM and Zoe's character, as if you had possibly a relationship prior to filming this, because you guys seem to really gel well.
Yeah, I was playing JM, who is based on a real person, and the whole series is based on a real event. And so I became involved when Olivia, who plays Zoe, called me late one night during the pandemic and told me the story, like from the real experience. And I, as one of her best friends, was obviously like freaked out but enthralled and entertained by every twist and turn. And I think, I mean, they've only made one episode so far, but seeing it, that the drama is perfectly captured and calibrated and heightened in just the right way for the screen. So I would say that I was involved from the beginning of the real life story.
Oh, that's juicy. Abubakar, the short is a modern and funny take on kind of a painfully relatable topic: online dating, catfishing, the pitfalls of both. How has the response been to the film so far?
No, at the screening, I messaged this to Olivia the other day. I was like, that was the loudest, most like involved audience I had been in a long, long time,
Wow.
which was so joyful and refreshing. Like to be in an audience with people in front of a screen and them reacting to it as if it was like a football game with like deep love and deep hatred for some of these characters that they met 15 minutes before was incredibly exciting.
It was because it's so relatable. I feel like everyone either has a story that's similar or knows
Mm-hmm.
someone that's been catfished or cheated on, and it
Mm-hmm.
felt like you could put yourself in the in those shoes and kind of understand the need for revenge a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You play Boy, actually, the charming and yet sleazy guy who inspires Zoe and Kate to tape this revenge film. We see Boy from the women's point of view, but you stood in his shoes and you kind of had to craft his personality, but based on I'm assuming what Olivia and Kate told you, or Olivia and Fallon told you. Do you think everything about his personality was a lie, including like the therapy, the love of Streisand, or was some of that authentic? And he just sort of built the lies off of
That's a great question. Here's what I'll tell you. I think in the playing of it, and when we were filming it, I made the choice to treat every single scene as if it was a rom-com where these two people end up together and like you're rooting for both of them. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I kind of chose to go with the thought that he actually fully means and believes all those things. I don't know if for the real person that's the case, but I know in terms of for me approaching it, I thought there was something kind of maybe even more evil in him fully like believing and thinking that each relationship he has with this person in front of him is like the story of the century, is the
that. Right.
rom-com of the year that is going to end up happily. Which was funny because in doing that, I had such a warped view of the story because I'm just kind of playing him as if he really is like the romantic lead of his own life, and then watching it back and seeing and hearing how people reacted to that character and to the things he did. It was one of the most diabolical things I've ever seen, which I didn't expect, to be honest. Because again, my brain was so wired and thinking like, he's living his dreams doing this, but it kind of made him into this horrendously evil person.
Do people come up to you and tell you their boy stories, or have they this week? Like, oh, I knew a boy, and
No, but when we were watching the screening, Sagan, who was sitting next to me, turned to me and they were like, "You need to run the fuck out of this theater once the screening is done. You need to get the fuck out of here safely."
Well, I guess maybe this would be for both of you. The short is making its festival circuit, and people are seeing it. What has anyone come up to you and given you their response like that was shocking to you? Like, oh wow, this story sounds very familiar than what's on screen, or they were really they were really moved by what happened in the film, because I feel like it's just such relatable content. People all have stories that are so similar. Certainly, I felt like, especially the scene where the montage of the online dating and how it's kind of like this endless circus of losers. Does anybody come up to you and be like, yeah, that is just so my life?
Well, we sort of were clumped together as a cast and crew, so we weren't engaging with a ton of the audience one on one.
Oh,
But I would say that, like, we were in the room, as Abubakr was saying, with everyone so audibly, loudly, riotously reacting to every twist and turn, all the various forms of emotion. And that would have only happened if the audience was really, really connecting. And again, it's a short, so you have to lock in really quickly to these people. And bringing your own experience only heightens that. And the other thing is that it's a very New York story.
yeah.
It's very indicative of the New York dating scene and the culture, which is maybe not the case in Ohio, where I grew up, or where in Texas, where Zoe, the character, and Olivia grew up. Like, it's not, not everywhere, and not everywhere is so high octane and so fast paced, and everybody's trying out four different options, and nobody's telling each other the truth, and all this. But I think what makes it so, what hinges this as not just being a real New York dating story, is the the deception takes on another level when you tell somebody that you want to be exclusive with them. Yeah. So they're believing that you're their boyfriend, each of them, and it's like, oh God, because you don't have to do that. People go months and months in New York without ever saying those words or those labels or anything, and they just sort of play by their own rules and fly by the seat of their pants. And then it's like up to the jury of feelings to decide what is right and wrong. But the film really smartly gets ahead of that by letting him volunteer that he wants to really be something serious with these women, only to have the rug pulled out from under them, of course.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, you mentioned you played JM. He's a friend in the party where Zoe meets Boy for the first
Yeah.
time. And I can see why he was so appealing to her. He has a very particular personality. How much input did you have in bringing him to life?
The character?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, well, I know the real individual.
Oh.
And because I've met JM at Olivia's birthday parties, uh, I didn't really steal from the real person very much. What you see is what you tapped into earlier in the call, which is that Olivia and I are very close.
Yeah.
And we just I the what you're seeing is us really just being with each other in that moment. And I barely even remember the day. I mean, I remember being there with you three and having fun, but I had no idea. I couldn't remember any of the choices that I made. And then I saw them on the screen and I was laughing as hard as everybody in the theater. Like I was watching some person I'd never seen before and it was me. I think it's the one of the best screen performances my favorite that I've ever given, but it's because it was just Olivia and I being ourselves as
Mm-hmm.
characters, and it was really authentic.
Yeah, it felt very authentic. Absolutely, it felt very authentic. Abubakar Boy was this like charmer. He curated his personality to impress whomever he was speaking to at the time. When working with Zoe and Kate, or Zoe and Fallon, what sort of insight into Boy did they give you that helped you craft him? Because they must have given you like little hints, like he's like this, he's like that. That kind of drove your performance. I'm guessing it's funny. I'm guessing it's funny.
All right, I'm gonna tell you why it's funny, but lightly. I'll lightly tell you why it's funny. So coming into it, I kind of made my own choices based on the script. Because reading the script, I'm like, okay, like this is like, this guy seems like I'm like, how did this guy do this? Like, this man must be like the most lovable, charming, like wonderful Greek god status human being on earth. Because I'm like, how do you do this? This is wild. So I kind of jumped to my own kind of conclusions, my own kind of things, and to be everything you saw was based on that. But I will say, like halfway through shooting, I realized that I know the person, which was wild. I as well know who it was. And what is interesting is how different my kind of my approach to it based on reading it was in relation to who the human being was. But it just shows you like anyone is capable of these horrible things. Do you know what I mean? They like it could be a standing emblem of beauty and charm, or just like a random person on the street. It could be anyone, and that's really terrifying.
They don't know. They don't believe that they're being those things. They don't believe that they're being, as Abu said, diabolical.
Yeah,
and that's what's so interesting is that it's very possible that for this character, every moment really was genuine. Even when it's so brilliantly filmed. Oh my God! I mean, brilliantly directed by Emily. But it's like even when you're texting one of them and the other is like laying on your lap, and it's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa! The dissonance is really powerful there. Which
I was going to ask you your experience working with Emily Cohn, the director. Can you just talk about that a little bit? What she added to the final project, and how you felt she did as a director on this piece? Because it's a really modern telling of a story that's so familiar, and I really enjoyed the parts where she was doing the montage, like I mentioned earlier, of the dating and including the text on the screen. All of that stuff I thought just really brought this story into 2024.
I mean, Emily did. I thought she was incredible. Like, I thought she was genuinely incredible. The fact that she it was like 3 shooting days, delivered a pilot that was on par with like like network pilots you see every year is incredible. I
Yeah.
thought she managed to kind of create a set that like felt very efficient, but also free for everyone to kind of do their art. And I mean, I told her literally 3 days ago, I was like, I don't know how you did it. It's incredible that you did this and that the product is this strong. It was amazing.
I think
agree.
go ahead. Go ahead. I thought
Yeah,
she really harnessed the cringe factor very well.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ryan. What are you gonna say?
No, I mean it was I just had that one sort of evening, which was maybe an hour to 2 hours of filming tops,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just a joy of a space to create and be and have fun and bring your ideas and say, what if we tried this and how would we do it this way?
Mm-hmm.
And she was such a great guiding hand. And also there are times when you believe you did something, you know, and then it's captured in a way that you go, ooh, and this just I think was even better than we could have dreamed it being in terms of the performance is made as is often said in the editing room and by the director
Yeah.
on screen, and so you know we can both have as much talent as we want or do, but it doesn't matter when the final cut is out of our hands. And for us to be so thrilled by what we're seeing is a real sort of breath of fresh air, especially on such a low budget and with such time constraints.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask you about that scene that you were in, especially because I wanted to know what were those colorful shots that you guys were drinking, and also what was with the staring challenge? What is that about?
Oh, I learned that from Olivia. It's in the script. Eyes, eyes, eyes. That you have to, when you take a shot, you have to look. You make eye contact. And I had no idea that this was the case because I don't often take shots. But all I can say, I have no idea what we were drinking, and all I can say is that it was non-alcoholic.
Yeah, I'd never done that shots thing either. I remember when I think you can kind of tell when you watch it, all of us are like, not actually knowing what it is, which Loki added and made it slightly more charming.
Well, you filmed this in New York. It's a New York story. It's a New York story about what it's like to date in New York and the isolation of a big city, which I think people in maybe other parts of the country don't realize. The bigger the city, oftentimes the more isolating and the smaller your group is. And I thought this film really captured that. So, what were some of the challenges of filming in New York? You said you filmed over 3 days. I know that that can be very chaotic to try to find spots and places to film in New York. How was your experience with that?
You take that because you did all the exteriors.
Um, it's so much. I feel like when you're shooting outside in New York, it kind of takes care of the acting for you,
Yeah.
which is always really fun. I mean, we dealt with the normal things that any set shooting outside in New York will deal with. Sound, ambulances, a random loud club. I remember there was one night where we had a location that we were going to shoot at, and then we got there. We just couldn't shoot there, so we ended up like for 20 minutes just kind of walking around scouring blocks until we found a block, and we're like, all right, we have to wrap in like an hour. Let's do it. So they just started rolling cameras on me and Olivia, and we're just like, talk, go, and we got it. Which is kind of fun. There's something really on the go and messy and honest about shooting in New York, which is lovely.
Yeah, I mean the city itself has its own heartbeat, and you're kind of at its mercy. And
Yeah.
if you can drive a scene, and I really did the scene before you went into the comedy show, Zoe's comedy show. I'm assuming that's the scene you're talking about.
Yeah, that was the one. Yep. Yeah.
I guess this is for both of you. Besides seeing your film on screen and hearing the audience's reactions, were there any other memorable moments from the festival that stood out to you? Maybe a film or a performance or somebody that you met that moved you or excited you?
Well, we were part of a package of 3 episodics
Yes.
that aired together, and I was just blown away by Black Fruit, which is a German series that's going to stream in the fall. And we saw one episode, and I just thought and it was sort of absolutely not in the same way, but sort of two intertwining stories that intersect at the end. And how moving it was, and such an sort of piercing and biting and clever commentary on race in Germany, which of course we don't, you know, we know what it's like here in the United States, and we want to think that in Europe it's different, but to see that it's, how baked in it is. So I think that whole cast, I was just so mesmerized by their work, and I really hope that Black Fruit finds a global audience because I want to see the rest of it, and it's got to come here to the States in order for us to. They made all 8 already, so it's like, I want to know what happens next.
What about you, Abubakar? Is there anything that?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was. I love Blackford. I thought there was something. It was really heartening to hear that they'd done all 8 episodes already. Just because I think like that same story, if it were to be, uh, you know, pitched here or attempted here, I think would face it would be an uphill battle to get something like that produced here. And it was really wonderful to see a part of it and to know that it's getting a life. That was just really exciting and joyful. I thought it was really fun to watch.
I think the shorts are so creative at Tribeca, and they're really brave and daring, and they take some topics, like you're saying, that might not be able to be pitched as easily for a full series or a full film.
Yeah.
I always think the most inventive things are in the shorts for this festival. What do you lingers about this short with the viewers of the film? Is there an emotional message that you're hoping gets through to the viewers, or is it just, we see you and it's funny what happened, because I definitely think there's a heavy dose of comedy in this, in this short.
I think, well, first of all, we want to be able, I think we want to make the rest of it.
Yeah.
And get to tell the rest of the story, because it certainly leaves on a cliffhanger, as in there's more to come. It doesn't sort of tie a bow because it is a serial in its intention. So I'm hopeful that there's enough buzz and enough interest from audience and producers alike to be able to, so that Callan and Olivia can see their vision through to the finish line, for sure. Because knowing the full story, there are some bigger twists and turns and some bigger, deeper ideas that can't be captured in the first 27 minutes.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I wanted to see how this attempt at revenge actually affected the women in the long run, and if they were able to get out of that what they were looking for. So I hope it does continue in this. Is it going for a series format? Is that what they're hoping for?
Yes. I think all 3 in that program that we were part of, at least on Sunday, are intended to be episodic. And as we said, the reaction was so positive that hopefully that leads to a future life.
And what was anything that you would hope that the viewers would take from this, Abubakar? Is there something a message from it that you're hoping connects?
I think it's like it's a testament to good storytelling and what it can do. I think just like being in a room with people and to hear people be that involved in a story, and especially a story that that started 3 minutes ago, it was exciting and it's rare. And I think it was such a heartening moment for me as an artist, just to kind of like see that. And I hope what people take away from it is, that stories and storytelling can do that for us and really beautiful. And I thought, a fun thing about the pilot is that it's structured so beautifully in the same way that like, when you're like watching those like random TikToks that are like, hey guys, so let me tell you the story of like when I dated 4 different whatever, someone that I think it does such a beautiful job in that, which just makes it so like beautifully modern and relevant, and can capture the attention and the attention spans that I think even me myself have been groomed towards. You know what I mean? Shorter attention spans,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And it does that in a really beautiful way, while not sacrificing, character and storytelling, and not using gimmicks. It was exciting to watch that, and it's very heartening in terms of the future of storytelling.
Well, I hope it does get picked up for a series. I would personally, like I said, I'd like to see how this project affects them, and if there's some justice coming towards Boy, or even if he sort of has an awakening after this revenge film comes up. Who knows? But I certainly would like to see the outcome of it. Thank you so much, guys, for taking time out of your busy day to talk to me about this short. I think it's a great watch, and I hope that fans check it out. I know it's still available on the Tribeca Virtual at Home app if you have passes for that. So fans should check that out.